Hello, everybody. Bob Oxley here. It's time for tips, topics, issues, and positions. And today's topic is going to be about Dixie State University athletics. And the issue is we're going to talk about Division I. And is Dixie State prepared? Are they going to take on Division I and move forward? And guess who we have here? We have the guy that really knows, the athletic director from Dixie State University, Dr. Jason Booth. Welcome back, Dr. Booth.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here again.
All right. Last time you were here was the end of August, and we were talking a little bit about going to take a look at a feasibility study on Division I. The football program was underway at that time. We were pretty encouraged by that. We're in a new league.
Yep.
And so our football team came through with a 7-3.
They did.
It was a great thing.
Played well.
And then about a week or 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden I get word through the rumor mill, as usual, that the current coach and his staff are going to be let go.
Right.
Can you elaborate a little bit as to, I guess the big question is, if with a record like 7-3, all of a sudden you've made a decision to move forward. Go ahead.
Well, a coach's job is not just to win at the collegiate level. Professional, sure. That's really all it's about. But at the collegiate level, there's other facets that we have to make sure that they're holding standards. And in my estimation, after we've been working with Coach McClure and his staff, mainly Coach McClure, on issues all the time, as we do with all coaches. And so it wasn't just a knee-jerk snap decision. It was over a long period of time.
Okay.
And looking at things. And credit to the kids, 7-4 this year, amazing. They beat the number 6 team in the nation at home, and homecoming, what a great game.
It was.
Phenomenal. The program is going in a great direction. And that's why it was important to have to do this difficult change and this difficult decision in order to make sure that we maintain that for the long term.
Got it. Okay, we talked a little bit about that, about student athletes and what your feelings were on that. Mm-hmm. And it's not just playing the sport. There's a lot more to it on the collegiate level.
They're our number one priority. And, should we go to Division I, we have to ensure that we're maintaining standards, at an even higher level than we are today for all sports. And so we just felt it was the best decision for us as a university to make that, again, very difficult change. Shea is a great man, and so is the staff. Has nothing, it's not about their anything to do with them personally as people. They're great people, and nothing to do with the on-field results at all. Obviously, 7-4 is phenomenal, or anything to do with the kids. It's just issues that we could not support moving forward. And expect to have a program that we could be proud of moving forward long term.
Well, that's your decision. You guys know more about it on the inside than I do. But,
I wish I could elaborate more, but we just can't.
Our listeners here on the show, I mean, you can imagine, when I announced that you were going to be on the program in a couple of weeks, you can imagine when that news came out that they almost 90% said, "Are you going to ask him this?" I said, "I certainly am.
Well,
that's
of course,
my job."
It's a very fair question. I mean, we totally expect that, but And I would expect that because people on the outside, just all they see is the wins and losses, and again, that's phenomenal. The coach before didn't have great wins and losses, and we hung on to him for many reasons.
Yes.
So it's always, it's a different, scenario with every team, with every coach. And, I feel it was very, very difficult. It's been very hard last couple of weeks. But I'm excited now that we have Paul in place. And
that's what I'm going to bring up now. You've got that decision to make.
Yeah.
And now announcements made this week.
Yeah.
That we have a new head football coach.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about this gentleman that I had an opportunity to see the other day, for the first time?
We announced it on Sunday evening and had an introductory press conference this week on Wednesday to introduce Paul Peterson as our next head football coach. He's coming to us from Snow College, as he's been junior college. He's been the head coach there for the last 2 years. Done phenomenally well there on all fronts, but specifically on the field, they've gone to 2 bowl games. They've had at least 8 wins both years, and they have led the nation in scoring, in the junior college ranks. So he's a very very smart offensive mind. He played quarterback at Boston College for 2 years, right before Matt Ryan. If you've heard of him,
Yes.
he's kind of good. So he held Matt Ryan on the bench. Oh, Matt Ryan was just a freshman, but he's a very, very sharp individual and is putting together a really good staff that is going to lead the program in the direction that we want it to go and keep the momentum going for the kids. And he's been meeting with the kids all day yesterday and even more today just to meet them one-on-one and see what we need to do moving forward with each of them.
Yeah, I'm sure that I have some of those students that are on and they don't know what to expect. Their anxiety levels are all over the board.
Yep, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to move quickly for a couple of reasons. One, for recruiting for new kids. We got some deadlines coming up here, but primarily for our current roster is to put them at ease. Like, hey, you can just hear. I can sit up there and say all day long, we're gonna bring in a good coach, you'll be fine. But until it actually happens and they get to meet him and hear it from themselves, like, oh, okay.
I understand.
Everything's fine.
You press conference on Wednesday, and the next 48 hours, including today, he's meeting one-on-one with the team, and here we go. I mean, it's long days.
There's a lot of anxiety on the team for naturally, and I get it. And they came here to play for Coach McClure, and that's you'd like to think, well, they came here to go to school here. Well, they did come to go to school here, but they came here because Coach McClure and his staff recruited them here. So he was their first contact with Dixie State. So that it's hard to rip that away from them. So there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of anxiety, but I'm sensing quite a good amount of calmness and reassurance and okay.
And to go along with that, now he's got to put together a recruiting program. Where are we at? I mean, and then staff and
that's one misnomer. People are like, oh my gosh, we got to get started all over with recruiting. No, any coach that's out there in any level is already recruiting all year long.
Gotcha.
I mean, they're always recruiting, no matter where they are. So if we'd have brought someone in from Weber State, for example, they're recruiting guys. So then they just have those guys come here. When Shea came here a few years ago, and he was recruiting guys when he was at Humboldt State, he called them up, and some of them came here. So
that's right. I remember that.
You've got guys that you're already talking to. It's not like we hired somebody from an accounting firm in town that hasn't been a football coach for 7 years and has been out of the recruiting realm and has to really get started.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they're already involved in it, so it's just calling and giving them a different address to send their letters of agreement to come play.
Fantastic. Now I'm going to switch gears because this is the other calls that I've received.
Something else going on?
There's something else. It's called Division I. I threw it at you last time we were together 3 months ago, and I knew there was a feasibility study being done. You went public with that. You had a couple of public meetings with that to invite the community in and answer their questions, and you hadn't made a decision yet. I guess right out of the gate, have we made a decision to go Division I?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Now, our goal was to have it by the Board of Trustees meeting November 30th would be kind of the culmination, but not that we've received any negative feedback that were giving us, any pause, but we wanted to ensure that we gave it enough time to ensure we got all the feedback from the town halls. And then, if you recall, we sent out a survey online that we sent out to some community members. We wanted to just make sure we gathered all that information, had time to ingest it, and had time for multiple stakeholders to decision makers to see it and to make sure we understood it. So that's in the process. I don't foresee it taking much longer. Now the holidays will probably get in the way here of we're not going to make a big announcement during the holidays, but it's coming soon. But that it's up to President to officially make a decision.
I think that correct me if I'm wrong. I think the next major Board of Trustees meeting's February the 1st.
Yeah,
something. Am I right?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
So listeners, viewers, it's being worked on.
They've discussed it further during their meetings, but it's still we have some questions that we went back to the Western Athletic Conference with, and we're just basic questions, clarity questions that we're just making sure we get answers on to now have the full picture to say, okay, what are we going to do?
I hear nothing but a lot of positives, but the one question mark is the football team because the Western Conference does not have the WAC does not have a football program, and the questions that I've been asked to ask you is how are you going to get teams to play here, and what's it going to? Are we going to always be on the road every week?
Yeah, we're going to play 12 road games every year, and we'll never play. No,
don't do this to me.
No,
I said no.
Again, it's one of those things where if you're not involved and can see it day to day, which is natural. You just have these questions that. My two concerns with this whole potential move to Division I were, number one, can we afford it? And the feasibility study has shown that we can. Now, when we get to our end, budget number, by the time we're in our first year of eligibility, are we going to be at the top of FCS and in budgets? Absolutely not. We're not even going to be close. But that's just the beginning, and we're going to grow that, and we're going to build it into one that so we can do it, and we can have a competitive program. But we're still going to keep growing it, make it even better financially, so we can afford it initially. It's not like we're, $100 million off that we can't get there. Oh, that's a bad example. We're not $25 million away from getting to where we need to be.
Got it.
So that question's been answered, and we can do it. The second one was what happens with football. Being independent. The one question is, why don't we just drop football? Well, we're not going to drop football. We're not dropping football.
I sat in a couple of your meetings, and that question did come up.
And we're not dropping it because it's too important. I mean, obviously, you just saw it was so important that we had to release a coach that was 7-4 in order to make sure that it's done right, in our opinion, and continues to grow. So that shows you how important we feel it is.
That's great.
But the scheduling part is something I've already started putting potential schedules together. There's a service out there that we have already subscribed to look at potential openings for schools and start to put it together for 4, 5, 6, 7 years out. And it's starting to come together, and my anxiety of being able to get a schedule has eased. And I think we'll be able to get a good schedule together. Now, the first year might be a little bit odd, where we may be on the road for all of our Division I opponents and be at home for Division II opponents. And that's okay. North Alabama this year, who is in their this fall that just ended, is in their first year of Division I. So this year is what we would be in the fall of 20. They played 6 road games, all against Division I opponents, and 5 home games, all against Division II opponents.
Okay.
So they played Southern Utah University, I don't know if you've heard of them, just right up the road.
Yeah,
their first game of the year, and they got paid $130,000 to come to Cedar City to play them, and they beat them. So that's exciting. I mean, you usually don't expect to win those kind of games, but North Alabama has a very, very good program, won many Division II national championships over the years. So they're really, really good. And so it's really not that big of a surprise that they would give Southern Utah a game and even win. But they went on the road for all their Division I opponents, and we're home Division II. So what you do is then you get those Division I opponents back in future years for a home game at your place.
Home type situation.
Yeah.
Great.
So we're going to start to do that, and it'll probably be primarily with Big Sky schools as our guests, because they have openings throughout the whole season in random spots. So we'll start to nail that down. If a decision is made to do it, then I'll be able to jump on the phone and solidify those quickly and put a schedule together for 20. Now, for 19, we're all set. It's an RMAC schedule. We'll have actually 6 home games next year. 5 RMAC and 1 non-conference game against Simon Fraser, and 5 road games. And
so, are you going up to Canada, or are they coming down?
They're coming here.
That's a long haul.
Yeah, no, we weren't going to go up there. We've been there before.
I know.
Several times. And
that's why I brought it up.
We don't need to go there again. But they'll be a fun opponent, and we got to make sure we get the Canadian flag up that day and play their national anthem. But no, they're coming here. I believe it's October 12th for our open date in the middle of the season. Early October, somewhere in there. But they're going to come here, and we'll have 5 RMAC games at home plus that one, and then 5 road RMAC games.
Fantastic. Okay, switch gears. Here we are. The winter sports are underway.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got some of our teams on the road this weekend. So give me some assessments. What do you think about the men's basketball team, the women's basketball team? Just I'm going to open it up to you. There's so much going on.
Well, start with the women's team. Very young, but incredibly talented, and they're going to go through the learning curves of ups and downs of having a young team. But J.D. Gustin has done a phenomenal job of recruiting for his team, and they are going to be really good. He's recruiting them and preparing them as if we're going to be a Division I team.
Okay.
Now, if we are, then we're ready. If we stay Division II, then we're going to have a really good team in the RMAC to deal with.
I have two of those students
So
in my class, and they're excellent.
Phenomenal kids across the board and phenomenal basketball players. So I'm really excited to watch them. They had their first loss of the year in their first conference game last weekend against Westminster. Just couldn't find the bucket, and just again a young team made some mistakes. So they'll learn from that. We're going up to South Dakota this weekend for a doubleheader with South Dakota Mines and Black Hills State, and we'll see how they play there. Black Hills State is, I think, number 8 in the nation or number 5 in the nation, something. So we'll see how we match up. The men's side has experience, but a lot of new faces here. So the experience is from other schools. We have some 2-year school transfers. We have some 4-year school transfers that are playing significant minutes. So if you were familiar with the roster last year and you look at the faces on the floor this year, it's almost a whole new team.
Yeah, I've been to the game.
We have Quincy Matthews and Dub Price, familiar faces back. Austin Montgomery's seen a little bit of time. This year he's had battled some injuries, but the team is still trying to come together and figure out their niche. Because when you lose a Trevor Hill and a Brandon Sinister leaders, that leaves a big void that you have to fill, and it takes a while to build into that. So one of these days, probably here, if not these next 4 games in December, 2 in South Dakota, and then 2 next weekend here at home, we'll probably see the team gel. That's just kind of how John does it. He really gets them going after the holidays.
It sure does. So every year.
So I'm encouraged and excited to watch them. We have got good solid products for those. But in the fall too, we had volleyball win the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference title. So that was
phenomenal.
Yeah, I had a great year. We had 2 All-Americans, Megan Trainer and Lauren Gamble, and got to the NCAA tournament and unfortunately lost in the first round to our friends from Colorado Mesa. Friends in quotes, who that was the 4th time we've played them this year. Beat them twice in the regular season, lost in the RMAC tournament, lost in the NCAA tournament. So that was a little hard to swallow, but hey, that's what happens. But great season by them, and great job by Coach Felder to get them there.
Yeah. Anything on the horizon if we go Division I as far as sports to be added to Dixie State? Have we given that
nothing officially, because
Okay.
we're just looking at it as we got to wait for the decision, and if the decision's made to go, we'll be 1 men's sport short of WAC sponsorship requirements because they don't count football, because they don't have football. So we would need to look at a men's sport, and just preliminarily we've just thrown out, well, we would add probably one that we already have a women's sport for, because we already have the facilities, because we're not going to build facilities for this move. We don't want or need to. So either swimming, tennis, or track.
I was going to say swimming with the new Olympic
the new
size
pool, tennis with a brand new tennis course that just got finished, or track with our brand new track. So
there you go.
It just depends on how we want to go about it. Do we want to drive more enrollment, and have a bigger sport like a swimming or a track, or do it a little bit more affordable, with a smaller roster? But either way, that's really not the important part. Is like what we just need to find out what's the best fit and what would be the best sport for us to offer. So
fantastic. I just got the high sign. Believe it or not, time is.
Man.
I know.
So this is 30 minutes and not 30 minutes?
Just flashes by. So I really appreciate you coming in.
Well, I appreciate
because
it.
I know kind of schedule you're at, and all these changes going on, and just for you to take some time and come and answer some questions that I'm parroting on behalf of the listeners out there. Just curious, all positive. We think we want Dixie to get back and get the notoriety, and they're excited about the potential Division I.
We're on that trajectory. I mean, it's a very exciting time to be here, and I'm just honored and thrilled to be a part of it. And we are very grateful for all the fans that come out and support us, and we look forward to doing bigger and better things for them to be even more proud of.
That's fantastic. Dr. Jason Booth, Athletic Director from Dixie State University, thank you very much for being
Tom.
here.
Appreciate it.
And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, time flies. This is Bob Oxley with tips, and it's available for you listening on the radio at 3 o'clock now on Fridays, and rebroadcasted at 5 p.m. on Saturdays on KDXI 100.3. And if you want to see Dr. Booth's smiley face, You can look at them at Facebook,
Not
YouTube, Twitter, podcast called Podbean. That's our affiliate. And even I understand Alexa is where it gets those little things in your home there. You can say, hey, Alexa, give me KDXI Oxley tips, Dr. Booth, and it'll bring up the program. So we're getting more sophisticated.
Big time, Bob.
Yeah, big time. Along with Division I.
You've arrived.
Yeah, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. We'll hopefully tune in to us next week on Friday, and we'll have. Right now, we're looking at possibly looking at the immigration situation with Dr. Tyler. So until that time, please have a safe and enjoyable weekend. And this is Tips signing off. Bye-bye.